So let's take a look at some of the mistakes that schools make when trying to create an online learning program. Probably the biggest mistake that schools make is trying to do too much too quickly. Programs don't just happen overnight. They don't even happen within a year. It requires a lot of careful planning and careful development to get to the point where you can start even offering online courses, let alone having a full program that students can take advantage of. With that comes another mistake that schools make, and that is that they jump right into developing an online program without building up to it first. One of the most important things for a district to do is to start changing the paradigm of learning in the traditional classroom. The schools that we've worked with that have effectively moved towards an online learning program have started with blended learning for their classroom teachers. After that initial phase of blended learning, then they start to move into fully online learning or fully self-paced learning. And it's at that point in time where they start thinking about how do we actually build a program that can go and offer all of these online courses in a systemic manner. It brings up another common mistake. Not every teacher would be a good fully online teacher. It really isn't something that you want to make available to whomever would like to do it. Or it's not necessarily the techie teacher who is going to be the best for a fully online class. Teaching fully online requires an entirely different skill set than being a face-to-face classroom teacher. More than anything else, it really requires that are reflective in nature and willing to take on a challenge. They're teachers that don't need to have immediate feedback on their own teaching performances. When you teach online, you can't see very quickly when students get it versus when they don't. It requires a lot of patience out of your teacher as well. Another common mistake that districts make when beginning online learning programs is they forget to engage in dialogue with classroom teachers about the process. It's important to have teachers involved in the leadership team and the planning cycle. One common issue that districts have struggled with is that they've had pushback from their bargaining union who see online courses as a way to eliminate teachers. Now, that's not true at all. In fact, online courses have the same need for teaching and FTE that face-to-face teaching does. But unless a district is willing to have dialogue with teachers, those misperceptions can easily happen. Another common mistake for districts is that they don't specifically target what they're trying to do with their program. For example, it might be ideal to have online courses for all students, but is that really where you should best target your resources? Are there certain groups of students that will benefit more quickly than others? With any implementation, the district needs to make sure that they have some initial successes by which to build on. And that's true in an online learning program as well. It's important to start with teachers and courses, as well as targeted students that you know will have a positive outcome. Another common mistake that a lot of districts make when planning their online learning program is they don't communicate as well as they should. For example, what stakeholders within your district might not be sure about an online learning program or what it stands for. Think about how you would go and address those groups and their concerns. There are a couple other common mis there are a couple other common myths about online learning that are important to address. First, online learning should not be seen as a cost savings. Now, I'm not talking about stemming the tide of open enrollment out of a district or attempting to replace the purchase of software or textbooks. What I am talking about is having online courses with bigger class size or fewer teachers. That just simply isn't the case. Online courses will require pretty much the same resources that you use in a face-to-face classroom. The primary benefit, though, is that you now have flexibility for more learning opportunities that you didn't have before. Another common myth when it comes to online learning is that it's easy. Now, this might work two ways. There might be those that think online learning courses are just fluff and not rigorous at all. And there's others that might think online courses are a great solution to help students that couldn't cut it within the regular class because they weren't focused enough or it was too difficult for them. Online courses are not fluff. They actually can be very challenging for students. Remember, in an online setting, students have to take more initiative and have more control over their learning. Students that struggled with that in the face-to-face classroom aren't all of a sudden going to be able to do that in the online classroom. Think about students that failed courses because they procrastinated and didn't turn assignments in. An online course is likely to be even worse for those students without having the proper support in place. And that brings me to my last mistake that districts often make. They think online learning is as simple as having teachers, students, a learning management system, and the online course. They forget that it takes counseling and coaching and administration and other supports to make sure that the program works effectively. It requires more technical support and integration specialists. If you have instructional coaches that have experience in a face-to-face environment, they might not necessarily have that same experience or know-how in the online environment. All of those structures need to be considered in order to have a very effective online learning program. But what I do caution you is that those should not scare you. I truly feel that the benefits of an online learning program outweigh any of those potential pitfalls that you might experience. Plus, I add that we have an ethical responsibility to offer our students the best education possible. And if that means providing them learning opportunities in a flexible format that allow them to have control and say in their education, then online learning is a critical element towards that.